Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session on patent agent exam preparation strategy. And we are going to discuss about paper one today and what should be the strategy for last 3 weeks, that is 21 days. As you know, we have got this exam scheduled on 8th of May. When we started the preparation in the month of December, those who have been following us on the YouTube channel, those who have watched us through the sessions that were conducted live, as well as those who have joined for our class. When we started in the month of December, there were a lot of things that were told how to prepare and all. But then we are at peak, and we have just finished with our entire syllabus for the patent agent exam preparation. But then last 3 weeks are crucial in terms of revision, as well as a few things which you need to do for the preparation, I would say. Today I'll be discussing paper one, the strategy for the revision, as well as how you should manage it in last 3 weeks. Why paper one? Because I think as far as paper two is concerned, half of that would be based on paper one, the concept and the entire act as such. Beyond that, I think most of us have till now got enough practice for the drafting purpose and the situational questions questions actually, situational based questions actually for the paper two. And if you have got enough practice, then for sure you're gonna crack the paper two for sure. But paper one is something again wherein you can score really high. So today's session would help you strategize for last 3 weeks, not only for revising but scoring really very high in terms of your paper one, because if you score really very high in the paper one, probably you have better chances of clearing the patent agent exam, because in many cases we have seen that paper two was good enough to cross that 50 marks. Still students couldn't actually crack the patent agent exam because their score, although they had cracked paper one, as in they were above the minimum required 50 marks, but they couldn't crack the exam just because the score in paper one was comparatively, although cracked the exam, but was comparatively lesser. So today we are going to discuss how to memorize the section numbers, forms and fees actually. What are the important topics for preparation, especially for the paper one? How shall I practice for paper one? And would the exam pattern be same as that of 2018? Beyond that, there will be some tips for revision, because 3 weeks we have remained. And if you have been following us on the YouTube and the other platforms, strategically, if you are preparing from December, if you follow these things in next 3 weeks, for sure, you can score really good in paper one, as well as crack the patent agent examination, because that's what the intent of our this particular session is. So to start with, of course, you can put your questions in the YouTube chat box as such. I'll be taking those questions at the relevant point of time. So to start with, as a fact check, remember that questions in paper one don't get repeated. There are hardly 2 or 3 questions in every exam. I would say maximum 4 to 6 marks. Those questions have been actually repeated. So there is a rationale why I'm telling you this, and that's how you have to strategize now. Because when I conducted my first session 4 months back, sorry, 3.5 months back, cracking the exam in 4 months time, maybe a few things I'm going to tell you today which will be exactly opposite what I told you 4 months back. Also, there is no specific pattern for the examination, and how to practice or how to I would say prepare during this time, because it's just not about knowing the facts or knowing reading or understanding, but it is also I would say about are you in that mindset in the exam actually, or do you have a sudden shock of something in terms of the paper pattern actually? So there is no specific pattern for the exam. What can be a bouncer, or I would say what can be an unexpected thing in the exam? Probably I'm going to cover those things as well today, so that you are aware and you can at least do some practice as such, because a known enemy is always better than an unknown enemy. So like, don't consider it as an enemy, but then I would say for that question paper one, actually you can prepare accordingly as well. Those students who have been approaching me, or in touch with me, once question that has been again and again repetitively discussed is about section numbers and how to memorize the section numbers actually. Let me tell you something. In every question paper, or paper one or paper two for that sake, aggregate not more than 10 to 15 marks are for section numbers. So section number is something which is important, but it's not everything. If you don't recollect or remember the section numbers, please don't worry, you can still crack the exam actually, because there is something about the section numbers as well, which is important to understand which sections basically. And if you have that idea, and if you have been preparing, automatically you would have got few of the sections already, you remember those numbers basically. Okay, so don't just get panic. Important thing is that you need to focus on those things that are important for the examination as such. So no need to remember every section. Honestly speaking, it is not possible for everyone to remember each and every section number as such. So it is something that sorry, I think there was some network issue here. So those section numbers which are important, if you remember that, or few section numbers only you remember, then it would be sufficient actually as far as the exam is concerned. Now, so when I say questions don't get repeated, just there are two or three questions from previous years are repeating actually. One strategy that I would say is that now stop looking at the previous year's question papers actually, because it's it's unnecessarily gonna create a confusion, or I would say pressure, if you are not in a position to answer those questions. Now don't I would say focus more on the previous year's question paper, rather try to identify the topics that are unexplored, I would say. And we have been trying to do that in last few sessions as such. Unexplored topics actually, because as I said, the questions don't get repeated, as well as newer topics. There are a lot of topics till date which are not covered, in the patent agent examination. So if you can focus on that, that would be something I would say helpful during the last 3 weeks. How it can be done also I'll tell you. Also, focus on the content that is beyond the patent act actually, because in last few years we have been seeing this, that the content that is beyond patent act, including PCT, NBA, depository bodies, the Competition Act, the Paris Convention Treaty, Atomic Energy Act, IPAB, and civil litigation. All these topics have been also, I would say, the focus actually in last few years as far as the questions. Remember that, we would have almost 6 to 10,000 students appearing for the patent agent exam. And if everything is very easy, I would say, or I would say, if everything is direct, in that case probably everyone would crack the patent agent exam. But generally we have seen 15 to 20% of the students only crack the patent agent exam. So strategically, if you think, then probably all these things beyond patent act also, because anyway we have at least once gone through the entire patent act with the different concepts till date actually, right? So now stop thinking about those questions which have been asked. Rather, what I had recommended long back as well, look at the previous year's question paper just to understand the pattern, or just to understand what kind of questions are asked, rather than I would say what were the questions. Okay, so the pattern, for that pattern, previous year's questions papers would be really helpful. But it is not necessary, as I mentioned, that those questions would be repeated, or those things would be the one which would be I would say again asked in the patent agent examination. Also remember that in last few years, actually in paper one as well, there have been certain situational based questions. Again, situational based question is a very tricky thing, because when I was discussing in my class about the infringement based questions, actually that point of time, although there it was directed that the question is related to infringement, still there were confusion out about what is the right answer to this. Remember, a well-directed questions related to infringement in the situational based questions is, if we are not able to answer it properly, or if we are not able to understand the answer for it, for sure, when the situational based questions would be anywhere between section 1 to 163, I would say it would be very difficult actually, and especially within a specific period of time. At times, to read that, understand that, digest that itself take 5 to 10 minutes per question actually for the situational based questions. So so as far as the paper pattern, or I would say the questions, as I said, they don't get repeated, but prepare for something unexpected, or I would say something which is unexplored, probably beyond my imagination as well. This is what I try to get an idea about, that these are the few things beyond patent act or the rules or the manual, which may be something which would be important. Maybe it, for example, the Atomic Energy Act, when we speak about, just one or two concepts are related to that, which are into the patent act actually, but then at times it becomes really very crucial. Also, there is no specific exam pattern in exam actually. In last exam we had multiple choice single answer questions, multiple choice multiple answers questions, and true or false. Remember that there was 1 year, 2010 or 11, when the even the first part, it was, the entire question paper was based on multiple choice multiple answers. Be prepared for these kind of, I would say, unexpected patterns in the exam, especially for the paper one. It can be as blunt as fill in the blanks. Let me tell you, fill in the blanks and one word answer are not that easy actually. We tried this in our mock test actually as well, the one word answer, and let me tell you, getting those one word answer or one statement answers are really difficult at times, because it's not a gray area. Basically it's yes or no directly, black or white directly, right? So getting those answers become really difficult. So one word answer, or maybe a question which is we tried this in one of our mock test again, forms actually. And so for example, what is for what in under what conditions form, let us say 14 is used for. We may know one condition only, but can there be multiple conditions actually? Or for example, under what conditions form 1 is used. These kind of questions can be part of your paper 1 as such. Remember that, as I said, it may not have been tried till date, but there is no specific pattern in exam. And be prepared for, I would say, the negative marking as well. We don't know. This is what I would say. We don't know actually. I remember in my when I cracked the patent agent exam, that point of time in that year, there was a specific question on the fees part and the forms part, or the section part basically. So therein a condition was mentioned, and you had to specify what is the fees required in that case, or what is the form required in that case actually. Remembering forms has been few forms, those who are practicing, those who are in the prosecution, those who are into drafting, filing, for them remembering few of these forms may be easier as such, but remembering these forms or the fees is something which is very crucial as such. And how it can be done, I think this we have already covered in some of our sessions actually, that you can categorize them, both the forms and fees basically. So for example, in case of forms, you can categorize them specifically, like for example, what are those forms required during the entire compulsory licensing process? 3 or 4 forms actually. And you can, when you remember those forms in a group basically, that point of time you would also try to understand what are the differences between these forms actually. So that is also very important as far as paper 1 is concerned. Forms and fees, again, just like section numbers, but I would say section numbers, it's almost impractical actually to remember. But as far as the forms and fees is concerned, because there are 30, I would say to be precise, 32 forms actually, and for that reason you need to remember them, and the fees relevant to that as well. But if you can categorize them, then probably you would be in a position to, you would be in actually position to, uh, remember them very easily as such. Now, another thing that has been part of this particular paper one is that the sections and rules, but then again, those sections and rules which are, I would say, part of the forms are really crucial to understand or remember actually. So if you really want to focus on certain sections, then those sections which are related to forms basically, those are very important as such. Now, coming back to the sections, firstly, as I said, no need of remembering all the sections. No need of remembering all the sections. You can remember the important sections. Uh, and I think there is another video on our YouTube channel, Family 30 YouTube channel, which gives you an idea about the important sections or important topics actually for the patent agent examination. You can go through that video to understand what are those, why I'm saying them important. It's not like I know they are like, for a practice they may not be required, but these are the sections which have been focused again and again in terms of the patent agent examination. On one side, I'm saying the questions don't get repeated. On the other side, I'm saying that these sections are getting repeated again and again. Actually, among these sections, different aspects are there, and that's what I'm trying to tell you, which are, or maybe for long answer questions. In case of long answer questions, there have been instances of repetitions of the questions. Also remember that paper one in last 2-3 exams was always about the multiple choice or objective type, but it can also have short answer or long answer questions as well, which used to be the pattern earlier. So be prepared for that. Now subsections. Now when a student thinks of remembering all those sections, and beyond that there are a lot of subsections, I would say. And subsections, remembering subsections again, I would say, because honestly, when I practice, I'm a practitioner, and when I practice that point of time, I don't recollect the section numbers, but I have that option to go through the patent act or call my friends who are practicing, who would be helping me out in that case. Now, but as far as subsections are concerned, I have identified 5 sections actually for which you need to remember the subsections for sure. Section 2, which is for the definitions. Section 3, the inventions not patentable. I would say most notorious section 3, because all section 3A to 3P not only mugging it up, also understanding is very crucial as far as the patent exam is concerned. Section 47 has got different things included in that, and that is also important. Another section which has been, I would say, favorite one for the patent exam nowadays is section 140, the restrictive conditions, the anti-competitive practices in patent licensing basically. And section 10, which is basic for the patent agent paper 2 basically, or the specification or the content. So these some of the sections are something which you can remember. Remember that, as I said, the forms and the concerned section numbers is something which is important in this case as well. Now, how to actually now go ahead actually, because we have done concept wise, now we have seen all the concepts in the patent examination. Now how to actually read or how to prepare in last 3 weeks. You go, my request to all the students, now you go chapter wise, because every concept you are aware of now, everything you have already gone through, now you go chapter wise. Going chapter wise would help you not only in terms of covering the entire content once again, but also to remember section numbers, because the way we started very randomly. We started with section 3, we started with then we directly moved to section 29 actually, right? So that way it is important now to go chapter wise, so that automatically, if you remember the sequence of the patent act, automatically you would be covering the entire syllabus, and you would remember certain section numbers for sure. One more important thing, or I would say announcement that I'm going to make is, we have got 20 charts prepared now, last I would say 1 or 2 days. Prepare your own charts at the time of exam, which would be helpful a day or 2 days before the exam actually for you. Prepare all those chart in your own language. We have prepared all the charts and we'll be sharing it with the students again. These charts are, I would say, these charts may be helpful at the just before the exam, quick revision. These may not be helpful at this point of time actually, but if you have prepared any chart, students, just text me. I'll include those charts in my entire collection that I have, and I'll share definitely along with your name actually included in that. Okay, so remember, prepare the charts on your own, because these charts are going to help you in terms of I would say the not only for the revision, but at this point of time as well, the differences. So for example, we thought of revocation actually, and section 64 revocation actually, but then when we went through the entire patent act, there are multiple I would say section numbers which cover revocation part. Okay, and under what circumstances, who can do, and there is one, I would say, specific kind of revocation as well that we have discussed in the class, wherein actually maybe wherein which is different from section 64 basically. So these kind of things need to be, not only need to be remembered, but I would say noted down, because at the last moment, these are the things after 3 weeks which are going to be really helpful for you. Beyond that, beyond that, I would like to tell you that if you prepare this chart, because one of my students, she, when she was preparing these, she just prepared few of these charts actually. But then when she was preparing that chart, that point of time, kind of she actually revised the entire syllabus, and she was very happy to do that particular chart actually. So do it on your own, because you know yourself very well how you practice, or I would say, during the exam, what would be the mindset, what is the way you would be revising the things and all. So this is the way. Also, but then there are some students who really want a very high score actually, and they are like, nahi sir, mere ko 90 nahi, mere ko maybe I want 100 out of 100, because in paper one it is possible actually, right? And in that case, you need to remember all the section number. A trick I would say for that is that remember this particular chart. This chart, which is about the chapter number, the details, and the section number. This chart would give you a lot of confidence actually, because as I said, that's why I said now you go chapter wise, don't go section wise, don't go concept wise now. Okay, it would give you a lot of confidence in remembering the section numbers. Because if I see here, if I have to remember the section numbers and I know these 23 chapters, so for example, chapter 1 section 1 and 2, chapter 2 section 3 and 4. Now if I speak of a specific section or chapter 9, patent of edition 54 to 56, there are only 3 things related to patent of edition. If you remember chapter number and the details and the section number, these 3 columns, then there is a very high probability that you can guess the section number for sure. Okay, because you won't completely, may not be in a position to remember all the section 163 is absolutely fine, but still there would be a high probability that you would be in position to do this basically. Okay, so that's the one way I would say, or trick, if you are really looking forward to remembering all the sections. See, honestly speaking, there are some chapters, like for example, chapter number 1, chapter number 2, chapter number 9, chapter number 11, chapter number 14. Then we have this chapter number 19, or even 21. These 6-7 chapters are very easy in terms of remembering the section numbers, because these chapters have 1 or 2 sections of the concepts are pretty clear basically. Like in case of chapter 2, inventions not patentable, you have one that entire section 3 which have been repetitively discussed, and you have the section 4 which is for atomic energy related inventions basically, right? So this way you can remember the section numbers, but again, it all depends on how you actually want to move ahead, or what can you actually, what you are aiming for in the paper 1 basically. To come, I would say, to kind of conclude, I would say this a very small session, because I wanted some guidelines to be given to you, to every one of you. Now, the first, while revising, do not go through the previous year question papers. Stop doing that now, because now is not the time when you go, because the previous year's question papers, just go through it only for the sake of pattern. Don't just now try to solve those question papers. There will be very few questions which are going to get repeated basically. Now, the second thing I would say is read chapter wise, and for those who have the access, try to connect with the respective class videos. Now, you have been watching the videos again, the session 1 to session 20, but now read chapter wise. Try to connect, as in, for example, when you read section 3 and section 4, then in that case go through your, I would say, the session 1 and session 2. If you are going through compulsory licensing, that point of time, go through that probably session 17 or 18, but you read the act first and check if there is some explanation given in the video now. Now don't now go video wise basically, because it may be helpful, but it may be helpful. It's not like it's not going to help you. But to remember the section number, it is very essential that you read it chapter wise. 3 weeks, 3 revisions for Patent Act. Yes, and it is pretty possible if you put your like if you try to get like I would say some time daily. It's a high time you should get some time to prepare basically now for the patent agent exam, because it's hardly 2 or 3 weeks. One reading of act every week is recommended. 163 sections. You can 7 days. You can go daily, for 20 or 25 sections. Just read. Just read. It won't take more than an hour. I'm telling you. If in 20 hours entire syllabus can be covered, then for sure in 7 days you can read one act now, because now you are expert, or I would say now at least you know the concept, how to read, how we have read those sections or subsections specifically. कुछ नई चीज निकल आती है which is not covered in the video or the lectures, or beyond that कोई ऐसी चीज है जो conceptually गलत बताई गई है videos में, that also you can actually come to know that way. At least go at least 2 to 3 readings of patent act are expected in next, I would say 3 weeks actually. Try to frame the situational questions on your own. When you are reading, try to understand what kind of situation is there and under which this would be, this may be applicable basically. There was one this very I would say tricky question about the multiple priorities actually, that was asked in a WhatsApp group, as well as one of my students actually contacted me for that. Now when the moment you read the multiple priorities, you should get an idea about the cognate applications, or what we say is clubbing those applications basically together to file a single complete application. That so you see in the exam, maybe the answer may be dependent on, I would say, a single word or a single statement basically. It is very essential that what are those statements or what are those words basically. The moment we think of improvement, we think of patent of addition. The moment we think of unity of invention or more than two invention, we think of I would say the divisional basically. So that way, what are those words? Try to frame the questions on your own. And from day one, I have been repeating this, not discuss with your partner or with your friend who is preparing with you, because remember that both of you can crack the patent agent exam actually. So your partner is not a competitor to you, but I would say your partner is the biggest asset that you have got for you for the patent agent exam preparation. And let me tell you, those students who are preparing with me, even freshers for that sake, those who are working in groups, I have seen the progress everyone is making actually, rather than doing it actually, I would say, in isolation or individually as such. So that is important. Section numbers are important, but it's not everything. You would have already remembered sections like 3, 16, 25, 39, 54, 64, 135, and many others during the sessions or during the lectures actually. You are very much aware of those many section numbers already, and you should be in a position to actually I would say remember other section numbers very easily while going through that particular when you read the act carefully basically, right? Chapter wise. Now prepare charts on your own for the timeline, fees, which should be handy in last 2-3 days. Again, while revising, do this. Many students are doing that. They are sharing it with me, their charts, as well as they're sharing with the notes. And that is something which is, I would say, it's really helpful for each one of you. If you, because the moment you practice, the moment you write, the moment you that point of time, you understand more, you learn more. And that's how, because of course, teaching is one thing, but doing on your own is also really very important. Lastly, go through the rules at least once. Yes, at least once. Go through the rules. It won't take much time, actually, more than a day. If you have already gone through the videos or the act, actually, there are certain rules which are also very important for, I would say, the long answer question, actually. So for example, the the eligibility for expedited examination is something which is covered in the rule, and that may be I would say a long answer as well for 8 or 10 or 5 or 4 marks, actually, right? So at least once, go through rules. It won't take much time if you have covered the entire syllabus once, or you have gone through the videos or attended the sessions. Finally, don't compare. Everyone has got a different story. Working in groups, don't just get panicked because your friend got more marks in a mock, or I would say you are not in a position to understand. Everyone has got a different story. Everyone has got a different abilities, different IQ level as such. Important thing, and I think that should be the motto of our life as well, that everyone is different. Try to synergize rather than compete, because competition is good, but that should be in these kind of situations, I would say, see, no one is going to be the first one or second one, but rather both of you would be actually cracking. So for example, if you are two friends and one of you can remember the section numbers easily, or have got some trick to remember, just share it with your partner. Your partner can also synergize in terms of something like every, for example, how to draft claims and all, actually your partner can help you with that. So basically try to synergize rather than compete, because it's effort everyone is making, and as I said, everyone has a different story. Everyone is kind of struggling as well. It's just not that we are fully preparing for the patent agent exam. Many of us are working professional. Many of us are going through some kind of I would say other tragedies as well. So it's very important to synergize rather than compete. And to conclude, just for your information, we'll be repeating the entire patent act in Mumbai on 24th April, and in Delhi on 30th April and 1st May 2022. The entire patent act in a day or two will be revising, actually, in a very quick manner for all those who are interested. We have mock test 4 running, and this was, I would say, the toughest mock test till date, and I can see that with the scores, actually. Mock test 5 is scheduled for 26th of April, the World IP Day. Videos, you already have the access, and the charts as well will be providing to you. Answers to situational questions, COVID-19 infringement, we have already discussed this. Try to frame your questions and try to get answers for that as well. Just last announcement before I wrap up the session is that these are now also available to those who didn't join our classes: the mock test, the revision sessions, as well as the videos, charts, and answers to the situational questions. What you can do is you can just get connected to me via my, of course, I'm very easily accessible over phone, WhatsApp, or email as such. Get in touch with me or my team, and you can get an access to all these videos, as well as the I would say all these content, or the lot of other things that are part of our uh, specific things that we did in last few months, rather last 4 months. So these are some of the things that I wanted to share. Just strategize now. Well, 3 weeks is still a good time if you have done at least once, and if you have kind of, I would say, you can revise it now. It's a high time, actually, because from day one, from December 5th, I would say, I've been repeating that momentum is the most important thing. If you prepared very really good in 1 month, let's say somewhere in December or January, but now if you are not revising those things, I think that's not something that's gonna help you. The momentum should be just, it's like the, now I would say it's like a T20 match, and the momentum has to be there till last moment, and that's when you can actually crack the exam in the last few days. So 20 days, take it like a T20 match. It's still possible. And let me tell you why I'm using this analogy of 2020 is just not the big ones who win the matches. Look at the way I would say current IPL T20 is going on, wherein the new teams as well, or the freshers as well, are winning really very high. And look at the way the big teams are at bottom. This may also happen in your patent agent exam as well. So all the best to everyone, and do stay in touch, get connected for any help that is required. I'll be available till the exam date, as well as on the exam date I'll be available at one of the exam centers for sure to help you in between the I would say first and second paper to uh, for during the exam. Of course, in Mumbai as such. Amit has got a question: is remembering corresponding rule numbers also recommended? Amit, what is recommended is actually see, as I have been repeating, that it's not possible for everyone to remember all the section numbers and rule numbers. Importantly, you need to remember rule numbers which are, I would say, crucial, which are connected in the forms. Like for example, certain rules which are very important. Like there is a rule for a petition that we file for the extension of time, or for the delays in the time, or for example, the rule number which is for the, I would say, expedited examination eligibility. All those rule numbers. So it's not possible to remember everything, Amit, but certain rule numbers, I would say yes. Again, if you look at the broader picture, out of 200 marks, maybe probably 5 to 10 is something I would say, which is important. And those so look at the entire syllabus, and the, I would say, the marks given to each of the things. So for example, when you say that I'll remember the rule numbers, all the rule numbers or section number, is it really worth, out of 200 marks, 10 marks, yeah, 5 marks? We don't know. Actually, it may not be that high actually number, right? For that remembering, you can actually put that effort into something which would be more useful, I would say, and which would be more crucial as far as the exam is concerned. So remembering rule numbers, yes, to some extent, but there is no, it's a gray area basically, Amit. And it's the same thing applies to the section numbers as well. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining in on this Sunday. I'll be as I said, conducting some more sessions as we have the momentum, and we have also have the I would say actually so we have a couple of holidays as well as Sundays. We'll be taking those those sessions again. There have been requests to take sessions about I would say a certain uh, chapters. We'll be covering those chapters again. So thank you so much everyone, Amit, Vani, Anurag, Dhananjay, Harita, and I really wish all the best to all of you for your exam. And as I said, I'm there available for your help if something is required. Thank you everyone.